Right, the Waihoro Spreydon-Cashmere Community Board, Carolyn Potter. Oh, and Melanie's here as well, just in time.
This is Adeline, everyone. Carolyn wanted me to bring her along. She's been very good. That's right.
We should have made you just before morning tea so we could all come down and mind you.
I just want to say something about Sally's report and Helen's report. The work of community boards, you know, the work on the tragedy of March the 15th from Helen's board was inspirational, and I especially liked Sally's report on the greening of the inner city. I thought that was a large ambition for a community board. It won't be fulfilled over the years, and the river, of course, and it will take a long time to fulfil, but it was lovely to see the ambition for some of the greyer parts of her ward. I just thought it was inspirational.
Yeah.
And I'd also, our board has passed a resolution thanking the agencies for their work post March the 15th. And so we're probably going to report it in May. Lord knows how this timing works. But I did want to say that it was heartfelt in our board, the board members, in their response to the work of staff and elected members in Civic for the work that they did. It seemed to us to be impeccable, and we don't know the balls-ups that occurred at midnight or 1 or 2 in the morning, but what we did know was that the community really felt as though the council and the other agencies had done a great job. And I lastly want to mention those people who were incidentally involved going down Deans Avenue and picked up people and took them to the hospital before the police and the ambulance were there. And I know I'm adding to your workload, but I do hope someone's keeping a list of those incidental heroes, the neighbours and the people going past in cars.
Yeah, I think I acknowledged that with Helen's comments, that there are those people out there that we do need to connect with. Yeah.
They were there first,
yeah,
and they acted enormously bravely. I'm going to start off with something that's not in here, so I hope the pictures don't flick up a bit. And I just want, so about 6 years ago, I looked across the South Library at the new plywood checkout desks, and with the naked eye, one of which is wobbly, and said they do not comply height-wise in terms of the minimum standards which are enshrined in legislation for access for disabled people. I didn't even have to measure it. I just knew they didn't meet the minimum standards. I laid a complaint and got a reply eventually, after a long period of time, that I was right. They said they would change that when the library was closed for repairs when Turanga was opened. I was patient at the time, but I don't feel patient now because it hasn't happened and the library still is years off repair. I'm sure they are those same desks are in the other libraries. I can't explain this to the disability community. I have a friend who's active in the community, and he and I are both on the same not-for-profit board. He's youngish. His wheelchair's on top of his truck. It was the result of an accident that he is in a wheelchair, could happen to any one of us. He cannot take a book out of the library in South Library on his own. I went into another relatively new Southwest library that 6 years ago and asked the librarian where a person with disability checked books out, and she showed me a place round the corner hidden from the public gaze, and she saw no reason why people with a disability shouldn't have to ask for help. A few weeks ago, I again looked across the South Library, and there were the new checkout computers, glowing, not unlike hell. I don't even know what that light is for in a library, but it's imposing. In a menacing manner, clearly and undeniably inaccessible to people with a disability. Thousands and thousands of dollars have been spent on equipment that does not meet minimum legal standards. I have raised these issues for 12 years I've been on a community board. Before and since I have been chair, accessibility has been a priority issue in our LTP and AP submissions. We have repeatedly asked for that access for people with disability be a have-to tick box on project checklists when council and community boards are asked to make decisions on projects, with obviously no response. I don't get a reply when we ask for maximum standards in the AP and LTP for disability access for a traffic intersection which is going to be rebuilt, Wrights, Lincoln, Barrington, around which are many people in supported living. I understand there is no disability access at a public council desk in the current rebuild repair at a council building. This is unforgivable. It is wrong in human terms, it's wrong in terms of process, and it's wrong financially. And I am absolutely pissed off about it. Right, to moving along to better things. The purpose the community board, we've had some decisions on youth achievement and development, which is great. We very much enjoyed the applications from young people to the Youth Achievement and Development Scheme. There's no Part A's. There's significant council projects in the board areas. Are we pressing any buttons?
Not yet.
Not yet, right?
Don't worry, you can trust us.
We don't have a lot of photos this time.
No, we don't. I'll do... What one do you want to mention?
Doesn't matter.
You do the garden awards. Except I'm hacked off about the photograph. Quarryman's Trail Stage 2. The Quarryman's Trail is progressing. Construction through Milnes Drain Reserve and asphalting through James Height Drive. The section on of the cycleway on Sparks Road between Victor's and Henderson's is nearly complete. It has put a lot of traffic on Cashmere Road, and I think I will make a submission to your board, Helen, to discuss that traffic in that area. There's new water mains and asphalt being laid on the intersection of Sparks and Henderson Road, and it is causing a bit of drama at the moment, but will be a great road for the cycleway. Water grade grade works on Colombo Street. I want to mention this because I was quoted as being critical of the contractors on this tremendous job that they've done over a period of 2 years on keeping Colombo Street open while they've put in huge infrastructure underneath the road, and it has been amazingly complicated and quite naturally disruptive to business. But these contractors have done the very best job, and if you ask some of the businesses along the way, they will tell you that they've had really good help and support from the contractors. Well, my dentist is one of them, and the receptionist there said that when she couldn't get out on the walkway, they ushered her over personally, more or less laying their coats down to get her through the ditches. I just wanted to say that about these contractors because they have done a great job keeping Colombo Street open. We held our Community Pride Garden Awards.
Right. So we had, they were, when was it? It was a week or two ago. And we had,
last week.
Yeah, we had 135 award recipients, and we had 69 people come, although a couple of people didn't come. There's Carolyn presenting, which is what she's annoyed about. She didn't want the photo of her there. But it was a really well attended. It was set up probably better than last time. We had food coming to the recipients rather than them queuing, which they really enjoyed. And probably the best part was that we had the prizes, we had books, and then lots of, we had an original weeder prize, which was quite a cool. I went and got one from Oderings afterwards because I thought they looked really good, and lots of spot prizes. And we had, there were 5 recipients who were in their 90s, one of which was 99, and he didn't come because we found out later that him and his wife were on the West Coast having a week off. And so Carolyn's taken the prize round to George separately. So that was really cool.
He's 100 next month.
Yeah, in May.
In May,
yeah.
He
and
was
keeping
on
on
good
going
form
with his gardening better than mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and there were 10 first timers, which was good. Because You often get the same people who win every year and have done it for many, many, many years. Yeah. That's probably, is there any other photos?
I think that's the last.
And we've got a progress report against the community plan, including the age-friendly board plan, which recognises the development of age-friendly in the Spreydon-Cashmere action plan. We had a local groups meet and greet workshop. We had our residents associations and our community cottages come to an evening to meet and greet each other, not long after March 15, was it? And it was hugely successful, with the Spreydon network telling the rest of the community that was there how they had won on an alcohol, appealed successfully against another alcohol outlet being established in Barrington, and they talked to the community about their progress on that. And then, of course, there's the Residents Association's emergency preparation using the money that came from the Red Cross. Most of our residents associations are very active in the civil defence area, and they have put out pamphlets that are very much simplified versions of how you get ready and how you could become resilient, and they are very accessible pamphlets that the associations have put out. That's it.
Very good. We're at our 10 minutes, so would you like to move it, Phil, and second it?
I need to move it and make a quick comment too.
Yeah. Who's seconding it? Tim.
Councillors, I think what stands out is the what Carolyn has called the unforgivable aspect for disability in some of our facilities. And I just want to make sure, in fact, we look at, and I thank you, Carolyn, for your advocacy on this for many years. And it's no consolation, but finally we are setting up a working group to address this. But I just want to make sure that the concerns you raised are certainly taken seriously by that group. I'm sure they will be. But the advocacy and just the role, for example, what the checklist, how the checklist currently isn't working, certainly needs to be addressed. Apart from that, there's, and I'm very glad you raised that, Carolyn, but I'm happy to move an excellent report. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think when we get to the Chief Executive's report, there is a mention of the Fendleton Service Centre and the changes that are being made there. So we'll resolve to make sure that the desk improvements that are going in there do actually meet your concerns. I know that's just one of the many that you've raised, but at least that will be a good outcome from today. And I think some comfort can be taken from the changes that have been made to the template for our reports, which now have that disability requirement on it. I went online and looked at the Turanga assessment, and it's basically under accessibility. It says that the City Council work with input from Barrier Free, Be Accessible, the Disability Advisory Group and Smile Dial in order to ensure the building is accessible to all users. So something it probably sits in behind what Aaron has raised before, which is the actual national criteria not being sufficiently of a high standard to meet some of the issues. So we've got some work to do, so thank you very much for raising it and being passionate about it, as I think you've got through.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried.